Weeks ago, the country watched in horror as a multi-story condo unit collapsed in Surfside, Florida, killing nearly 100 people. Thanks for joining us, everyone, on this Wednesday. I'm Chris Pisano.
And I'm Jordan Jagalenzer. As emergency crews still work through the rubble, it's putting a spotlight on the safety of buildings across the United States.
Tonight, Western Mass News reporter Audrey Russo getting us answers on safety and inspections in a local city that's no stranger to crumbling buildings.
The Surfside condo collapse in Florida is bringing new attention to how governments oversee building safety. Many questions are still unanswered about how the multi-story complex was allowed to deteriorate after a hired engineer warned of structural damage in 2018. However, early reports show town officials did not raise warning flags about the building's safety in the following 3 years.
After listening to all of the reports and stuff, that it sounded like someone had been told there was an issue, but they didn't know how immediate it was. And that felt like very close to what we had.
Rebecca Casey owns a building in Holyoke, right behind where an apartment partially collapsed in 2020. She says watching the tragedy in Florida brought back memories of watching this West Street building deteriorate.
Like, I personally had said, hey, I'm not sure, but I think that doesn't look right. Not being trained in that stuff. And then within 2 months, it did fall down.
For years, Holyoke has had its fair share of deteriorating and collapsing buildings throughout the city. A city once built for a bustling population that's dwindled in numbers.
That means there's infrastructure for a lot more than what we currently have. A lot of these are vacant for that reason.
Holyoke Building Commissioner Damian Cody says for most apartment buildings in the city, inspections occur every 5 years. But he says when legitimate tips from the public come in about hazards, that prompts more frequent inspections.
We'll be in that building every 2 years or 3 years, depending, as much as every year.
Western Mass News found one of the more problematic buildings in the city is actually a vacant property at 281-283 Main Street. According to public records we obtained, the city has found multiple hazards on the property and sent multiple notices to the owner in New York. We tried contacting them too, but they couldn't be reached by phone. We went to the property with Cody, who says dangers with the building have persisted for more than 5 years.
There's a partial roof collapse and other issues around the building that it's clearly not safe for occupancy.
Other buildings in the city, like this one on High Street, which posed more danger to the public, were taken down more quickly.
Bad enough, we'll just demolish the building.
But aside from emergency situations, Cody says it can sometimes take months to years for the city to gain control of a property that's falling apart.
Finding owners, getting contact, so a lot of it is held up by the courts, not to their fault, it's just the process.
Cody says buildings also frequently change ownership without the city being notified.
So we're still sending communications to former owners who may be long gone.
And Cody says the unpaid taxes on dangerous properties can accumulate so much that a court-appointed receiver wouldn't want to pay them. This building on Main Street is approaching that benchmark.
Stopped paying taxes in a few years ago, so the balance is at $30,000. This is about to be filed for receivership, so we'll ask our law staff to bring it to court.
We asked Cody about what happened in Surfside, and while he has confidence in Massachusetts' system of maintaining buildings,
Massachusetts has a pretty strict code system compared to most states.
Still, he says there are strains on the system.
There's only 3 building officials, and we have 11,000 parcels.
In Holyoke, Audrey Russo for Western Mass News.